Thank you, Brian. The Supreme Court says it will not put a review of President Obama's health care law on the fast track. So what implications will this decision have going forward?
Joining us is Fox News senior judicial analyst and host of Freedom Watch on Fox Business, Judge Napolitano.
Good morning,
sir.
guys.
Good to have you here.
Nice to see you, Juliet.
Nice to see you. So what does this exactly mean, this particular request and the denial?
The request is to have a case bypass the intermediate appellate courts. We have a trial court, intermediate appellate court, Supreme Court.
Just go straight to the top.
Correct. The trial court in Richmond, Virginia, ruled that the health care reform, known as Obamacare, is unconstitutional, and the government is appealing that ruling. The state of Virginia, which won the ruling, has asked the Supreme Court to take the case directly and bypass the intermediate appeals court, and the Supreme Court said no.
Right.
Normally, that kind of a decision, we will not bypass the intermediate appellate court, would not be newsworthy at all. But because it's Obamacare, because the plaintiff is the state of Virginia, because the Attorney General of Virginia has been so out front on this, because more than half the country believes this is, according to polls, this is unconstitutional, we're interested in what's going to happen. The Supreme Court says, wait a minute, there are 16 cases making their way up to us. It would be wrong, it would be inefficient for us to rule on them piecemeal. We should rule on them all at the same time. So let the 16 trial judges rule, only 5 of them have ruled so far. Let those cases be appealed to the intermediate appeals courts, and then we'll take this and rule on it all at once.
And we should point out that the Attorney General for the state of Virginia filed this on the day that the president signed it into law. The governor of Virginia, Bob McDonnell, says this: the court's refusal to hear this case now will force states and businesses to incur increased costs and expend significant effort to begin preparations necessary to ensure compliance with this law, which ultimately may be ruled unconstitutional.
I agree entirely with him, and I agree that the law is unconstitutional, and I wish that many states could just say to the feds, we're not going to follow this law because this is not an area under the Constitution that the feds are authorized to regulate. But from the Supreme Court's point of view, it would be highly inefficient to address each of these 16 cases separately rather than all at once.
This was not a win for the Democrats.
No. This was not a roadblock. This is a minor speed bump. Maybe not even that. This is basically, you know, the Supreme Court doesn't think in terms of weeks or days, but in terms of history.
Sure.
You got to do this the right way. Otherwise, this is precedent for future cases to bypass the intermediate appeals
Will we keep on
court.
seeing efforts like this to try to get it moved forward, fast track it?
Yes, there are a lot of people who would like the court to rule on this before November 2012.
But they're not going to.
Well, the Supreme Court could get this case in 14 to 16 months, which will make it October of 2012.
Wow.
This could be an October surprise before the presidential.
If Obamacare is invalidated a month before Election Day, the president probably will go home to Chicago.
Wow. All right. What do you got going on tonight on your program?
I have the same person that you have on in about half an hour, Congressman Ron Paul. What does he really believe? What do libertarians believe? Why is this message of freedom, you talked about Ayn Rand's Atlas Shrugged a few minutes ago, suddenly catching fire?
It has. All right. Judge, we thank you very much. Always a pleasure.
Pleasure, guys.